right into town on the back of a 13-0 start. It's college sideline for a second as the match starts here. We saw as Lauritsen defends a takedown from Buzakis, but he gets straight through it for 3. We saw the Buckeyes go with a different option at 125 pounds in Minnesota.
Yeah, Brendan McCrone was a great option for them there. But again, this just shows the depth that the Buckeyes have to be able to put out anybody in their room and still manage to get a win.
Buzakis starts 3-1 quickly. He's looked to turn Lauritsen to his back, but Lauritsen's managed back to his feet. Shot attempt there by Buzakis, no go. We spoke to assistant coach Jaggers before the match, and he was really excited about the depth this Ohio State team has. Obviously, being able to use their third string, Vinny, at 125 pounds. Stall call coming out here for Lauritsen. Hasn't done much besides counter Buzakis' attacks.
And there's been a lot of talk about what the style is for Nebraska, and when we spoke to Jaggers, he spoke about the style that Nebraska brings, and it's through position and scrambling, leaving it all up in the air, and it's reflected here.
Some front head action from Buzakis. Going to try and take that post away and see if he can get around Lauritsen. He'll try and go into the body there, but Lauritsen done well through this sequence. And now he'll get behind for his 3, go behind for Buzakis to make it 6-1 halfway through the first period.
And Buzakis just keeps applying that pressure in all the right places.
Sunk back for Buzakis, trying to get the fall here at 125 pounds to start off this duel. Lauritsen does well to fight through, but it's 4 near fall for Buzakis, and he's already in position for a major decision and maybe many more.
And it's just incredibly strong wrestling right away. You talk about intensity, and Ohio State just embodies it in their style.
They are tough wrestlers coming out of the Covelli Center over there in Ohio. As Lauritsen doing his best to hang with the number 2 wrestler in the country, only behind Luke Lillidahl of Penn State. Buzakis had a good campaign last season, 24-9, was a national qualifier, ended up 2-2 at nationals with a loss to Knox of Stanford. But he seems to be wrestling the best he has in his career to this point, and he's one of the hammers that Ohio State has low in their weight classes. Big shot through there, high C from Buzakis. He's just about to that point where he will get it. Trying to get to that back ankles Lauritsen, but it'll be 3 for Buzakis. As the first period comes to a close, a massive 13 points on the board for the Buckeye.
Buzakis just doing an incredible job of getting those takedowns and running right through Lauritsen to be able to get those 3 points.
Lauritsen will elect to go bottom here, and you got to think that Manning is hoping for some damage control from his freshman.
Bonus points in matchups like these are going to be huge if the Huskers want to hang in with the Buckeyes.
After Iowa, it seemed that Ohio State would have a major advantage over the Huskers, but obviously they're having to rotate their lineup at some weights, so this may end up being closer than they imagined, which makes this match all the more important as big return from Buzakis puts Lauritsen right back down, belly down.
Just getting that roll through, putting him on his belly, getting those wrists secured. It's going to be key for Buzakis to control this match.
In that last sequence, Lauritsen did that same kind of sit out where at first he got sucked back in and put down nearly for the fall. This time he was able to get through, but Buzakis able to follow him through. Tried the claw, but he'll stand up for his 1-point escape, 13-3, with 1:15 to go in the second. The Huskers thought Lauritsen was going to be the answer this year, but he ended up not quite being ready. They've had to rotate with Kaler in there.
Yeah, Kaler wrestled in the last matchup against the Iowa Hawkeyes where he took a 4-2 decision loss against Joey Cruz. It's been quite a toss-up at 125 for the Huskers, and they're still hoping to figure out who is going to be representing them the rest of the season.
With Kaler getting more matches, it was thought maybe Lauritsen was done for the season, but he gets the nod here. So he's trying to work Buzakis towards the edge. Buzakis, some of the heaviest hands at 125 pounds in the country. a tall task for anyone. Shot attempt there from Lauritsen. Stuffed and covered. Front head look from Buzakis.
Buzakis just doing a great job of applying those hooks and turning it into front head pressure.
Extending that right arm of Lauritsen to try and get his leverage to break. He's got 10 seconds short time to work, but it will be called a stalemate by the refs in their blue and blacks. And we'll see out the rest of the second period. 13-3 the score for Buzakis. So Lauritsen manages to avoid more points on the board. Here's that sit-out attempt that got him put right back to his almost collarbone. I doubt that felt good.
Never does. Never gets any easier.
Buzakis does have the riding time point, 140 in the bank for him. Lauritsen will try to hit claw ride. Buzakis very good to step right back into him. There's the Granby attempt, covered off well by Kale. And there's the roll, and Kale follows again. Nice series there from the redshirt freshman. But I imagine if you're Buzakis, this doesn't really come as any concern.
No, I mean, you've already secured the riding time, you already have the major decision, but Lauritsen doing a great job of rolling right through with him and applying that crossface to really bother Nick Buzakis.
Riding time point is out of the question now. He's got it below 1 minute. As Lauritsen will finally get reversed by Buzakis. Not a bad series there from the redshirt freshman.
No, may not be the ideal year for Kale Lauritsen, but that's pretty heartening to see if you're Mark Manning.
Four-time state champ Lauritsen in Nebraska, one of many homegrown talents. For Nebraska, Ohio State's got a few homegrown talents of their own. Doesn't include Buzakis, hailing from Tampa, Florida, as he lets Lauritsen up. And it comes down to a 30-second short time live go to decide if this is going to be a major decision or a tech fall for Nick Buzakis. Shot attempt there, stuffed by Lauritsen.
This is when you start thinking about team wrestling, trying to avoid all those bonus points that the Buckeyes can gain early on here.
Buckeye trying to find Lauritsen. Lauritsen already has a stall call, so he can't go running yet. But as it ticks down, Kale does well to keep it at a major decision. The Buckeyes start with a victory, 4-0 the team score, as Buzakis improves to 10-1 in his redshirt junior campaign. There's that reversal from Buzakis. And at 133 pounds, what a performance from the redshirt freshman Ben DeVino so far.
This guy is unbelievable. He's 18-0 on the year, 13-0 in duels, and he's only got one loss in his entire career, and that was to Dylan Schauber of Rutgers.
Ben DeVino has been wrestling on fire, one of the many bright spots of the future for wrestling. He's got Van D, who had a rough outing against Ayala.
Yeah, it was not ideal for Jacob Van D against Drake Ayala. Ayala managed to get that big win over Van D. Surprisingly, an upset. Tell that to a wrestling fan just a year prior.
Ben DeVino, 11 tech falls through his first 18 matches so far as a freshman. He's got some experience in Jacob Van D, a junior. Last year, Van D, 19-12. Ended up All-Americaning at Nationals with a 5-2 performance to take 7th. DeVino working Van D towards the edge. And it was said by Ben DeVino's father that when he was wrestling as a kid, you try to find these wrestlers' losses, as good attempt there from DeVino got Van D stuck. And that is 3 for DeVino. You try and find a young wrestler losses, and that's what they did, and that's why he attributes so much success at this level.
And it's really been reflected in that record, but you didn't see Ben Davino wrestle Van D at Nat Duels. He went against Omer Ayu, who won an 11-2 decision. Well, a major, but.
Van D was one of the Huskers at National Duels that got limited time with some shakeups. And Trell Taylor, another one who ended up having a weekend where he had to sit a couple matches out due to injury. We'll see him later on. 3-1, Ben Davino leads just over halfway through this first period. And Van D, he won 12 straight before losing to Ayala. He's trying to show that he belongs at the sharp end of 133 pounds.
And what really separates Ben Davino is this hand fighting that we're seeing on display. He's just constantly posting up on Van D's head and forcing him to hand fight him and constantly level changing.
And he's kept Van D towards the edge of that match for the most part of this match so far, under a minute to go. Like you said, Nebraska likes to wrestle through positions, and we saw in that first takedown, it was a scramble that ended up going Davino's way, but Van D is a wrestler who likes to operate in those scramble positions.
You really see Davino eating up a lot of real estate, and Van D being forced to play defense here, not quite shooting in as often as Davino is willing to.
Coach Jaggers said before the match that Davino is a beautiful asset to have in a wrestling room. He's got the pace, he's stingy, he just loves the sport of wrestling. It's his sport and his hobby, and he's a good follower. And he told me it won't be long before Ben Davino is leading this Buckeye team into duels. As he sees out the first period, 3-1 advantage for the freshman. Davino will opt to take bottom. Here's that takedown. Just got hold of Van D's arm and was able to find position through there. Van D will start on top. Looks like he's trying to get to his feet. Davino, there's that return from Van D. Van D's a tough customer on top, but not enough to keep him down for more than 15 seconds. Davino will grab his escape. It's 4-1.
You just see Davino will his way to stand up, fighting off the hands from Van D. It allows him to get that escape and set up more of these shots that he continuously sets up against Van D.
Some good shot fakes from Van D. Had full down block out from Ben Davino. He's going to need a couple more of those if he's going to go and get a takedown here.
What really stands out about Ben Davino as well, this is his first career meeting with Jacob Van D, but their common opponent in Drake Ayala, Davino took a 10-4 win over Ayala at Nat Duels. Much discussed in the wrestling community, which has led to a lot of the relevance that he has today.
Gets that single. Van D tries to step out of it. Now he'll opt to whizzer. Davino brings him up. Van D's going to try and get funky, get to that other leg. Not a bad effort here. He's got 30 seconds. Both the wrestlers do.
You can feel the stalemate call coming here, unless Jacob Van D can run right through him.
Van D's got that low single shout. He brings Davino up. The crowd will rise with him. A softer crowd here tonight than on Friday, but still ever present. That will be a stalemate call, but not a bad series from Van D.
No, you get to that high center. It makes you more dangerous in that position. Great call by the referees, though.
So Van D and Davino will head to the third period. 4-1 the advantage. It'll be Van D's decision.
If you're Van D here, starting off the third period on bottom, you got to get an escape quick and set up a shot. Nobody's got the ride time, so it's still anybody's matchup.
The head coaching staff for Ohio State, led by, of course, Tom Ryan, but also Jaggers and Stieber. A lot of championship pedigree in that locker room. Van D going to his go-to moves. Tight waist from Davino. And there, he'll cut away for a 4-2 deficit. And not often we've seen so far from Van D this year that he's had to go chasing in the third quarter.
You know, we actually had a lot of talks leading up to the Iowa matchup for Nebraska, and we spoke to Shane Sparks, and he spoke about the kind of mentality that you have coming off a big loss and how that puts you in a quarter and forces you to wrestle your best against opponents like Ben Davino visiting Devaney today.
Van D said that his mindset changed from sophomore to junior year. Something clicked and he's been much more intense and he's operating with much more conviction with his wrestling.
His confidence has really skyrocketed, and it was reflected in the fact that he hadn't lost since November until Ayala came to town.
But Davino holds the lead. How impressive has he been? We talked about the 11 tech falls as Van D's trying to force some action. He took down Evan Frost of Iowa State in a 4-2 decision. That was a huge result for him with 40 seconds to go. Van D doing a lot of work with his hands, but not a lot. There's a shot attempt stuffed. Now he's got that 2-on-1 stall call for Davino. Van D's trying to work that head. Shot attempt, low single from Davino. Tried to roll through as Van D, and Davino's gonna pop out for 3.
Great defensive wrestling from Ben Davino. Does not allow Van D to get that shot off, and he just stuffs him and turns it into 3.
Ben Davino manages the pressure wonderfully to take a 7-2 victory over number 8 Jacob Van D to make the team score 7-0 as Ben Davino improves to 19-0. They'll take a break between matches. Ohio State has gotten advantage with Bizakis' win over Lordson, and Van D falls to Davino 7-0. This is Big Ten Plus. We'll be right back.
Mendez leading the all-time series for Brock Hardy. These two are embittered rivals. Mendez, of course, leading the all-time series, coming off of a national championship win over Brock Hardy, decided 12-9.
Jesse Mendez, 2-time national champ, did what he needed to do in the final at Nationals last year to take down Hardy. Hardy coming back for his revenge inside the Devaney Center. A wonderful start to the year for Jesse Mendez. He's 13-0. Hasn't really had any competition except for that 4-1 win against Hardy at National Duels. And he's coming off Minnesota. He saw Vance Vombauer, number 9 in the country, and he took him down with a tech fall. Here comes Brock Hardy. Did not wrestle against Minnesota when the Huskers went up there, but he did take a 1-0 victory over Nasir Bailey on Friday for one of 4 Husker wins in that match.
His 100th career win, setting up the stage for another massive matchup for the senior.
And they faced so many times. 4-1 all time, Mendez. The one loss coming to Hardy in the Big Ten championships. He will go straight to front head action.
This matchup has never been decided by more than 1 score. It always comes down to about 3 points, excluding the spladle that Mendez hit on Hardy in the Big Ten just a couple years back.
Mendez gets by Hardy with that slide by for a quick first score. And he's trying to go to work. Hardy seems a little slow off the jump.
Yeah, Hardy trying to get his wits about him, set up some shots here. The front pressure has been really bugging him so far.
Mendez described as so important to the Ohio State room and lineup and the coaching staff. He's intense, he's loyal, he's everything you want in a Buckeye as he gets to that single leg. Hardy trying to get to his defenses as they step out of bounds.
Yeah, when we spoke to Coach Jaggers and we asked him, what does Mendez mean to you? He said, how much time do you got? He's been like a brother, he's his best friend, he's almost like his son. He spent as much time with him as he would his own children.
But he did say that Mendez needs to just release today and go for it. And just get all the wrestling he can on the mat against Brock Hardy massive respect between these two, even though they face off so often.
Yeah, he said, you know, you got to release. You got to get right through him. You may come with some blocks when you face a guy this many times, but at the end of the day, you just got to go crush him.
Mendez trying to push Hardy towards the edge. If we don't see some action here from Hardy, he could be seeing the wristband from the ref, as Mendez has dictated the pace so far in this match. Gets to that shot there at the edge, and they'll step out again.
Yeah, the former silver medalist at the U20 Worlds in 2023, really controlling the pace of this match so far.
Hardy not without his struggles this year. Obviously fell to Mendez at the national duels, but his other two blemishes come from his scraps with Sergio Vega of Oklahoma State. Sort of become a stylistic bogey for Hardy as he tries a shot there.
It's always tough to lose those early matchups against those highly ranked guys, but Hardy has always seen his success in March where it matters most, and the same thing goes for Mendez. Just two dominant wrestlers at their peak in the Big Ten.
Drop down to a knee. There's Mendez going to run that low single. Sticks Hardy onto his back. Something could be coming here for Mendez. A couple back swipes will do. He'll get 4 near fall to totally crack open this matchup here. 10-1 Mendez now leads at the end of the first period. He's playing around with that bar arm, but I don't think he'll opt to do anything with that. So 10-1 the score, and what an end to the period there.
Yeah, and here's that front head pressure from Mendez. Just sends Hardy flying. Gets him right on his stomach. And again, ran right through him with that single leg.
Hardy almost lucky to avoid a second pin here in the Devaney Center, the other one coming to Vega.
And this is like unlike any matchup that we've seen between these two. Mendez bordering on a major already in the second period.
Brock's got to find something, find a gear and turn it up if he wants to keep up with Mendez. Mendez has been an untouchable train so far.
You know, when we spoke to Coach Jaggers, he mentioned that this is his chance to start us strong.
Was in that crackback position for not too long before Mendez tries to get his leverage on top of Hardy's shoulders, and he does. Excellent defense from Mendez. And there's the stalemate call. First shot attempt from Hardy that lands. There's Manning. Got to believe that he's not too pleased with this weekend.
No, and he was not pleased on Friday night against Iowa. Said that he did not prepare them efficiently enough, and that it was his fault. And that those wins at one with Brock Hardy and Antrell Taylor were way too close for comfort.
Manning, a veteran in this wrestling business. He's been at Nebraska for 26 years now. Shot from Mendez, gets to that single, doubles off. There's 3 as he ties up the legs.
Mendez doing a great job of keeping that toe in, working on Hardy.
And they'll step out. I mean, the Buckeyes and the Cornhuskers have come up against each other many times over the course of Tom Ryan's and Mark Manning's career. Tom Ryan, the only one to end up at the very tippy top of the sport.
Yeah, getting that 2015 national championship, and they've also got some runner-ups in 17, 18, and 19. This is the best team that the Buckeyes have had all decade.
As they returned 8 of their All-Americans, Hardy steps out and added 2 transfers, Dylan Fishback and Ethan Stiles, who we'll see in the next match, as Mendez tries another one. And it's only the end of the second period, and Mendez has a 10-point lead on Brock Hardy with 1 second away from riding time. And as far as Coach Jaggers is concerned, this is what he was looking for when he said he needed to release.
There's Mark Manning looking on at his senior. Hardy looking to finish as strong as Mendez has. Both of these wrestlers have the same common goal. It's to get at the very tippy top of the podium at Nationals, and so far Mendez has gotten there 2 times in a row.
Hardy will start on top. He'll try to work this leg series. It's very clear for Mendez at Ohio State. This is his final year of competition, but his goal is to finish as the national champion for the 3rd time. And with this win, you gotta think he is well on his way to that goal.
Mendez has always been a March wrestler. I mean, same thing goes for Hardy, but Mendez just finds the ways to win. We spoke to Jaggers about those ambitions for Mendez, and it comes with world titles, Olympic titles. It's the very pinnacle of the wrestling world to be able to wrestle for your home country, especially considering Team USA and the kind of competition that you're going to be seeing in college. And these are the kinds of competitions you see. These are going to be the USA future team members.
Hardy was trying to work that arm series, maybe get to a head lever or a bar, but it wasn't there. He'll have to try again. Mendez sees him try to put the leg in immediately. Can't defend it. Hardy's gonna look a cradle shout. Mendez does well to extend out of that attempt from Hardy. Still no top points. Obviously the riding time is all the way down, so that won't be a factor, but he's got a couple more points in favor. You gotta think this strategy was to go out and try and get a pin.
Yeah, you could reminisce on Big Tens just a couple of years ago when Mendez hit the spladle on Hardy. Could be a possible attempt at that, but it's just so hard to set up in the first place.
So Brock will let Mendez stand right on up. Actually almost gave up a reversal there. Hardy trying to go to work. "20 seconds left. Mendez leads 14-3 over Brock Hardy.
And the Buckeyes just continuing their brilliance on the road.
Hardy was one of those guys for Nebraska you think is almost guaranteed points, but it won't be today with 1 second left. As Mendez, major decisions, Brock Hardy 14-3 in an emphatic 141-pound bout. He gets the W, and that's got to be a statement of intent for what he plans to do in March.
That's 2 major decisions already in this duel.
That'll move the needle to 11 Buckeyes, 0 Huskers, as we move into 149 pounds. For the Huskers, Chance Lamer, 12-2. He's done well this season, but obviously had that slip up against Ryder Block. Both of these guys transfers, first year with their team. Styles from Oregon State.
Yeah, Styles coming off of a Pac-12 runner-up at Oregon State. He defeated Nate Zinkin by fall at Nat Duels, but he was a former Nebraska wrestler once long ago in the 23-24 season.
He was a freshman here at Nebraska, went 15-3 before transferring to Oregon State and earning All-American honors at the tournament last year. Ended up 6th in the national tournament. As Lamer, 3-time NCAA qualifier, a couple times for Cal Poly, finds himself as the Ridge Levitt replacement. Lamer lost this last decision last year, 4-2. He'll be looking to get his return on Styles, but Styles has been a tough customer. His only losses this year have been to Jackson Joy and Caleb Tyus, 2 wrestlers that sit above him at 2-3, and the sudden victory loss to Jacob Frost of Iowa State.
Iowa State's been on a tear as of late. You're just seeing a high level of pedigree in all these guys' opponents.
Single attempt from Lamer, he's got it. Almost shelved onto his knee. He's gonna take that arm. Styles does well to defend it. Lamer pushing Styles towards the boundary. Husker fans hoping for something here, as that's 3. Well, no, he'll take his hand right back down.
Controversy here in Devaney. Crowd believes it was 3.
We'll see if Manning decides to use the brick. I think he's gonna save it and trust that Chance can go get another one. That is a tough call, going out of bounds. Trying to grab both ankles was Lamer.
Whenever you're wrestling on the edge of a mat, it always depends on what appendage is inside the circle. Usually relies on the toe being inside.
Shot from Styles. Lamer can't quite defend it, and it's 3 the other way. And the escape for Lamer as the refs are going to start talking.
You'll see Manning get up on the stage to argue the call.
No brick from Manning. I think the refs are going to go review this themselves. This is one of those quick takedown calls where as soon as the ref lifts his 3 fingers, the wrestler on bottom stands up immediately. So it's marginal. We saw the same thing last week with Minnesota with Silas Allred and Max McKelney's match. McKelney got the takedown in overtime, and it seemed like just a split second that Allred touched the mat.
So we'll get the replay here.
Deep
you see
shot.
the shot. Gets a single.
Comes around.
No hand secured around the arm for Lamer.
He comes around the back to try and control the waist.
And it's just so marginal that you got to be able to challenge that one.
Here's the other angle. That looks like 3, but he stands real quick. We'll see what the refs decide.
It's such a razor-thin margin for takedowns in those kinds of natures.
Lamer hasn't had the best results as of late. He didn't wrestle Minnesota, and then he got the start against Iowa. And it was a 5-5 match, and he ended up on his back. The refs will decide that there's no takedown, which also means there's no escape, and we're back to 0-0. So no need to even throw the brick for Mark Manning, and he gets the call of return.
And here's Coach Jagger still arguing the call. Probably not ideal.
I mean, he's doing his due diligence as a coach.
You have to argue for those 3 points where you can get them. You've seen Ohio State dominate so far, and they're really looking to make statements in the Big Ten and show that they're ready for those later duels.
Obviously, all eyes are going to be on Ohio State versus Penn State in a couple weeks' time. Shot attempt from Styles, countered by Lamer. And Ohio State wants to make a big move here in Nebraska. Lamer trying to work those clubs. Good agility from Styles. Tries the outside single leg. Good shout. Counter from Lamer, doesn't go.
And you see these guys take a step back from their shots and just go back to that hand fighting.
Good defense there from Styles. As we move closer towards the end of the first period, Lamer had an attempt on the outside of the mat, not deemed 3. Styles had a takedown that was reversed. So both ways, they've been close to points, but we're still in a deadlock here at the end of the first period.
Both coaching staffs indicating that they want their wrestler down.
Styles will get first nod on bottom. There will be a caution for Lamer. A little too jittery. He'll try and go claw ride and work that back leg.
I like the tactic there on top from Lamer. You go to a thigh pry into a claw ride, just constantly repositioning your hands.
Couple Huskers so far as the escape comes for Styles. Brock, Cale Lordson, and Lamer all working towards leg sequences. Really only Cale and Brock had success as Lamer gets 19 seconds of riding time against Styles.
Styles just such a hard wrestler to keep down. I mean, every single guy on this Ohio State roster is just so hard to wrestle.
Shot through by Styles. Lamer tried to come around. Styles will Granby right through, and now we're in a scramble position here. Lamer seems to have the leverage for now, but that ankle is tight in Styles, and that's a pretty quick stalemate call.
Crowd not having it, but it's the right call. You never want to get those potentially dangerouses.
And they'll go back to work. 1 minute left in the second period. This might end up being one of the most even matches of the night.
Disregard those rankings by their names. These guys are deadlocked in their style.
And Lamer managed his way all the way up to 5 in the Intermat rankings. When he was wrestling unattached, obviously he couldn't wrestle the first semester because of transfer rules. Shot attempt there from Styles, countered by the front head of Lamer. He was able to come in, ended up losing his debut against Swiderski against Oklahoma State. A 7-2 loss for Lamer. As their action continues to be exciting, but not necessarily fruitful. Shot attempt from Styles. He'll Granby through. Lamer will try to land on top of him, but again, they end up in this position where they have no idea who's up. And that's the end of the second period, just as both wrestlers sensed a little something in the water.
Ethan Styles just does a great job of getting his own hand right back to him, not allowing the takedown to go for Lamer.
Crowd making some noise for Chance Lamer. He'll get his try on bottom, and Styles will get his try on top. Lamer will sit right into Styles. He's got one of his legs.
If you're Lamer here, you don't want to give Styles the advantage.
Good step over from Lamer. He's just about there. He needs to get his head out. He's trying to work back to that leg and come around. There is the reversal for Chance Lamer to take the lead 2-1, and they'll step out.
This crowd is feeling it now. Chance Lamer with the reversal does a great job of sitting right back into Ethan Styles and securing his leg.
This season, Devaney has tried to rival some of the other big arenas in the country as Lamer goes back to that leg work, like Carver Hawkeye and the Cavelli Center over there at Iowa State. And here comes Styles back around. Lamer's all tied up on his back leg, and he might just come around through. He's looking for 2.
Styles just keeps that pressure forward on Lamer's leg.
Lamer can't seem to get back to there. He's got a hold on Styles' leg on the bottom, and he'll have to give up the 2. So now it swings back in Styles' favor, as now he's got the lead and the leg ride. Huskers hoping for something from their wrestler here. Lamer's got 40 seconds to work. Working the Sun Devil is Styles. That's a hard one to get out of. He'll bring Lamer towards his back. Lamer trying to sit out, and here he goes, he's out. He's out, it's 3-3. Chance Lamer and Ethan Styles. This one's gonna go down to who wants it more. 3-3 riding time, not a factor for either wrestler.
Have yet to see Lamer in a sudden victory period.
Shot there from Styles. He wants to go get it done in regular time. Lamer is going to do what he needs to do to see it through to sudden victory.
This will be the first time we've seen Lamer in sudden victory as a Husker.
And you got to think this is a big one for the Huskers if they want to get back into this duel.
This could kickstart a potential comeback for the Huskers if they're able to pick up this win.
Shot from Styles deep there on Lamer's leg. Lamer will try and work that front head. It seems like he's got his legs loose. He'll go behind. Roll from Styles. He just manages to get back ahead. What a sequence there. And so we've ended up in the same position we were about 10 seconds ago. Lamer was almost through. Tied up in each other's ties. Still leverage for Lamer. Styles is going to get his head out there, and they're back to equal pegging. 3-3 shot attempt from Styles, countered by Lamer. He's going to get to that single leg. Both wrestlers look to be gassed. Styles shot attempt there. Lamer's going to try and put heavy hips on him. Styles is going to bring him up. Lamer trying to get to that backside. Wrapped around his chest. Here comes Stiles through the backside. And he will just try to maneuver his way around that top leg. Lamer probably hoping for a stalemate, and he finally collapses as Ethan Stiles takes the 6-3 sudden victory win for the Buckeyes.
And that's just all about motor. Stiles kept going at it, did not let up. Both of those
to keep the Buckeyes at 14-0. We move to 157, where Brandon Cannon will not see action.
Yeah, it'll be Maddox Shaw in place of Cannon, and because of some injury against Minnesota. But Shaw is 7-1, including unattacked. He's 13-3 in duels. He's got a major decision in a tech fall, along with 2 pins this year. He lost to Joy 11-1 at the Clarion Open, and he was 3rd at the Kent State Open. But he gets a shot against the reigning national champ in Antrell Taylor.
Across the stripes, it's Antrell Taylor. Had a rough time against Ohio State at national duels. Ended up dropping that match to Brandon Cannon. And he will have to be the man to jumpstart Nebraska, as it seems like he always is.
Yeah, he picked up a win last time out against Iowa here. He had a controversial 1-0 match, unlike anything we've ever seen before.
He ended up winning that match on a stall call against Jordan Williams, ended up pushing him right off the mat in sudden victory. Williams did well to stick with the reigning national champion, but now they've got the scoreboard fixed and we'll start 3 minutes. The first period, Antrell Taylor versus Maddox Shaw. Antrell hasn't stepped down to a knee. There he is. One of the main beneficiaries of knee wrestling across the sport. It's been something that's been talked about widely on various different outlets. But Antrell uses it to his advantage to limit the other person's attack while increasing his own explosivity off those leads, as we get an eye poke from Maddox Shaw. Obviously unintentional.
Yeah, when you talk about knee wrestling, obviously the piece of conversation that comes up is Angelo Ferrari's match against Penn State. But the way that Antrell kind of combats that narrative about knee wrestling is sliding on it, repositioning. Here you see the eye poke. Just comes from a regular posting up on the head. Obviously unintentional. It's supposed to be a re-attack there from Maddox Shaw.
Just in there fighting for position. His hands get into the eyes of Taylor. I'm sure Taylor will be all right eventually. Maddox offers the hand. Taylor wants nothing to do with it.
But back to that knee wrestling point. It just gives up so much real estate if you're unwilling to cut off so much access to your lower limbs.
He will engage in the handshake, and we're back wrestling. 2:15 left in the first period. Antrell Taylor and Maddox Shaw. 157 pounds. Ohio State leads 14-0. Huskers came into the season ranked number 2 in the country. Obviously, they sled it all the way down to 6 after national duels. I mean, what's different from this team to last year's team that finished 2nd at nationals?
Obviously, you get a lot of your guys back, but Rich Lovett isn't here. He's gone on and graduated, hoping to make Team USA. But then you get that switch up at heavyweight from Harley Andrews over to AJ Ferrari, and you're forced to redefine 125 with Caleb Smith. It's quite the difference when you talk about those guys that have been in your system for a couple years, 2-3 years, or their entire career, to now having to switch gears and really focus on the guys that are seasoned veterans in your room.
Nebraska has had to turn to the transfer portal, obviously adding Lamer and AJ Ferrari this offseason, as Taylor pushes Shaw towards the boundary. As many teams have done so far to kind of supplement their lineup. Ohio State has done it too. They added Fishback and Stiles to replace their 2 qualifiers that left. Rogotska, the one at 84. Another poke in the eye from Shaw.
Never want to see this many stoppages in the first period of a match. Get a closer look at that eye poke. Looks like it was his hair and his head going right into the eyes of Antrell Taylor.
And they'll get back to work. 45 seconds to go. Antrell will try and get around to that single, bring it up. Taylor's got it pocketed in his armpit, and here comes Antrell Taylor. There's 3 for the Husker.
And you just love to see him shelve that ankle and trip up his opponent. You know, when I spoke to Shane Sparks when he came here to the Bob Devaney Center on Friday, we spoke about Antrell Taylor and how he just gains a second gear from this crowd.
Taylor will opt to go neutral straight away. He's not interested in wrestling on the bottom. Deep shot from Shaw, stuffed well by Antrell, and he'll try and get to work. With that front head series, that same front head series that here in the Bob Devaney Center as he slides by, trying to get to that body lock, but he'll go single instead. We have a man on the mission. He's got 13 seconds to try and make something happen. He'll bring him right up, same position we saw, and trip straight to his belly. That's 3 for Antrell Taylor to finish the first period. And Antrell Taylor is wrestling with a fire under his belly. But as we were talking about that front head series, he's so good in there. As here's that single, hard club, perfectly timed trip. Looked kind of like Hardy's trip against Simcox of UNC a couple weeks ago. Just perfectly timed on the back of the heel. Taylor makes quick work of it. He's back on his feet, 7-1. And you gotta think, the Huskers need bonus points from this matchup considering that there's no cannon here.
Yeah, and you're looking to the star in Antrell Taylor.
Deep shot from Shaw, stuffed by Antrell Taylor.
Antrell Taylor's your guy. When you need points to be put on the board, you look to Taylor.
That front head series, he pinned Stony Buell of Purdue from that series.
Taylor has yet to lose in Big Ten play. He's verging on the 4-0 dual start.
Yep, he's won 8 in a row since national duels. And there was a lot of talk after national duels for Taylor about where he was going to shake out at 157. Some were challenging his championship pedigree, but he's done well so far. Here's that body lock, and down for 3.
Just a great job by Antrell Taylor to get that double and then cut him loose right away to set up another shot.
Shot attempt from Shaw. Nothing there. Antrell trying to work him off. Stall call there for Shaw.
Obviously no love lost between the two wrestlers. Antrell seems to be taking the 2 eye pokes a little seriously.
Antrell back to work. Shaw, he's a true freshman thrown into the lineup. He's wrestling up a weight as well. He's a 149-pounder. So he's done honestly well enough to combat that loss of weight. You know, his only losses are to really competitive guys at this level, Jackson Joy and Sergio Limley, picking up 13 of them.
Antrell seemed to almost go for that cradle attempt.
Shaw will stay on his leg. He's got 8 seconds to fight through this rest of the second period. And that's how it'll finish the second period, 10-2. Antrell Taylor leads. We'll see what Shaw decides.
Taylor already has the major secured as it stands.
It's going to be blood time for Maddox Shaw. We'll look to patch up whatever ailment he may have over there. But this is expected from Antrell. It's the backup wrestler for Ohio State.
Yeah, you already start out in a hole. It's 14-0 Ohio State. You're looking for those bonus points to possibly kickstart a comeback on the back end of this lineup.
And
Yeah.
some of this aggression from Antrell, maybe from those eye pokes, but you got to imagine he might be a little bit annoyed that Brandon Cannon's not on the other side of the mat.
Yeah, if I'm Antrell Taylor, I'm circling this one, and I'm expecting a full comeback.
Brandon Cannon obviously suffering that injury. He's taken a big step, Cannon has. He was a qualifier last year, but starting the season 14-1, has only lost to Melvin Miller, the stud high schooler. Not a bad first impression. As good series here from Shaw, and Taylor will finally step out of it. Seemed almost like Shaw was going to fight back and get towards a takedown attempt on Taylor, but Taylor ever squirmy in those transition periods.
You're Shaw, you're doing a little bit of team wrestling here. Pausing for additional blood time, it seems.
Maybe a counter eye poke. Taylor is 1 point off of a major decision. Got to imagine that's what Manning told him over in the corner. Stay calm and go get it done.
Heavily
Taylor
relying on these team points now.
trying to work those underhooks. But he'll reset his headgear, kind of wobbled off there. He's got a minute left. Both wrestlers do. Shaw has done well. Not the first time this season that Antrell has come up against a true freshman. He faced Joey Antonio of Army in their season opener, ended with a 5-1 victory. And it's a recurring theme that when you're the champion, guys are going to come out onto the mat and try to wrestle harder than they've ever wrestled before.
It's all about setting the tone, and if you're the champion, you got to defend that belt.
Taylor stalking towards Shaw. 25 seconds left. There's the second stall call for Shaw, and that'll be a point for Taylor. He leads 11-3, so the major is in the bag. And it looks like Taylor will see this one out. A nice response from the Husker from Omaha, Nebraska. Millard South graduate. He's won here 11-3 over Maddox Shaw. Puts Nebraska on the board. Made that the Buckeyes coaches are taking to rotate their lineup and see who's going to get the nod going forward. At 165 pounds tonight, it's Burden. Gallagher got the nod against Minnesota, but he will sit tonight. 4 tech falls, 2 falls for Burden. This is LJ Aderujo's 12th straight ranked match since the season opener of Army. And it's been a ridiculous run, and I spoke to Ridge Lovett about it, and he said that, well, that's why you wrestle Big Tens. That's why you wrestle a Big Ten schedule, because he's a redshirt freshman, and all of those matches are only going to make him so much better when it comes to March time. Obviously, he's at a weight. He lost to Michael Caliendo pretty handedly against Iowa, Mitchell Messenbrink. So if he takes this year to learn all he can, he's 6-5 in those ranked matchups. He's still ranked 7 in the country, so not a bad redshirt freshman year for LJ.
No, and all things considered, when you get into those matchups against those top-ranked guys with plenty of experience, and you're still keeping it close, it's pretty promising if you're Mark Manning.
Burden, no slouch himself, redshirt freshman from Dublin, Ohio. Not the only Dublin, Ohio wrestler on this squad. Both teams do well with homegrown talent. Ohio does it almost better than anyone in the country, keeping guys around. He's a Midlands champ. He's 1-2 in duels, but he's definitely no slouch.
Yeah, Burden reflected in his record, 17-6, 1-2 in duels, but 26-12 in his career. In his only Big Ten duel, he is undefeated, so this is quite the test for him.
Burden has one of those unique stylistic advantages that as he tries to drop down to that single leg, he is so lengthy. He's taller than most wrestlers are, especially at 165 pounds. And you can see even from this casual wrestling right here, he's got the reach advantage on LJ.
Yeah, and LJ's got length himself, but Ethan Burden just has so much of it. His wingspan is ridiculously long.
Obviously good for posting on the shoulders, but Burden and Gallagher have shared time. Gallagher has got the start last year. 17-9 was Gallagher. He was an NCAA qualifier, two-time qualifier for the Bucks. 0-2 last year at Nationals for him. He ended up losing to Sparks up in Minnesota, number 11 in the country for the Golden Gophers. The same opponent that LJ Attarujo beat pretty handedly. 9-2 when they were up there in Minnesota. So we'll see what Burden can do. Good sprawl from Attarujo.
Attarujo doing a great job of sprawling right out of that and trying to secure the leg on Burden. But it'll just stand him right back up and get right back to work on those ties.
They'll reset with less than a minute to go in the first period. Still zeros. LJ, not a native Nebraskan. He's from North Dakota, up there where you can wrestle in middle school. Shot there from Attarujo. Just out of reach was that trip attempt from the far leg, and a counter just picked up the other leg was Burden there. Burden trying to get to the edge of the mat, and they'll reset in the center.
And that's exactly where Burden's length comes in handy, where LJ tries shelving the ankle, but he's going to grab his leg and shove him right back off of him.
15 seconds to go in the first period. 0-0. LJ got on a deep shot there. Burden able to step out of it. And not a bad start for both of the redshirt freshmen. Burden will defer, so it'll be LJ. He'll go down first. LJ, another connoisseur of the leg ride series. We'll see that maybe in the third period, as we've seen throughout. Another stylistic choice of Mark Manning's teams. They wrestle through position, they scramble, and they leg ride. Burden will start on top. A tough customer on top is Burden with his length, but LJ will step out after just 7 seconds to take the lead 1-0.
Just love that bounce from LJ as soon as he steps out. Kind of a Muhammad Ali shifting of the legs. But this is such a different duel for Ohio State. Stylistically, obviously, you're wrestling through position and scrambling a lot if you're Nebraska. But for Minnesota, it was head and hands and just not allowing any shots. So this is a big adjustment for the Buckeyes.
LJ shot attempt. High C there. Crack back from Burden. They'll roll through. LJ's good in this position, as he will have the top pressure for now. Burden trying to scramble out on bottom. He's got the back leg. This isn't over yet. LJ's going to try and push out of there. Almost kicking the face of Burden is LJ. He's got that bottom ankle trying to, and that's a potentially dangerous call if you see LJ's knee up and extended into Burden's chest there.
Yeah, great call right there from the referees. But what a series there from these two guys.
Again, LJ seems on the brink of points, and Burden, with his counterattacks, have also seemed like he's very well in the fight for this match.
Just speaks of the depth that Ohio State is able to employ in their room. Patty Gallagher ranked 18th right now, but Ethan Burden just sticking right there in him with LJ. Yeah,
one of the deepest wrestling rooms in the country. Obviously, think about Penn State when it comes to depth, but especially at 125 pounds, 165, 197. They have guys at these weights that they can compete at the high end of the division, and they can plug and play depending on what week it is. That does wonders for rotating, for injuries and fatigue, and it's a real advantage that Tom Ryan's built up through great recruiting.
Obviously, you hear a lot about load management in sports, but it's just so helpful in collegiate wrestling when you have plenty of guys who can just go out there and win.
LJ and Ethan Burden will step into the third period with a 1-0 difference between them. It will be Burden's choice. Gonna have a chat with the coaches, and he will decide that he would rather go search for a takedown than start on bottom against LJ.
Probably a wise decision. LJ being the connoisseur of those leg rides, like you said.
LJ and Burden will scrap for the last minute and 40 seconds. Trying to work that underhook is LJ. And he's just slowly pushing Burden towards the edge of the circle. Just kind of nudging and nudging, trying to, maybe elicit a stall call here. Wouldn't be a bad shout, especially when Burden is the one that needs to go get one.
You have to keep moving. Burden very much on the verge of a stall warning.
There's the shot attempt from Burden that they were looking for. Countered by LJ, and now LJ is going to try and go to work. Great duck under attempt, but it's nowhere. Deep shot from Burden. Gets to that far ankle of LJ. LJ is going to try and go to work on the scramble. He's got that crotch lift. What can the Husker do here? Looked like he was trying to get some swipes. He'll come out on top. Both wrestlers still have a leg. Now Burden is trying to come through the middle. Big sprawl from LJ. Trying to get back to that crotch lift position that he loves so much. As Burden trying to come out the back. They've got 24 seconds. Burden, this would be a dagger if he could get it. LJ trying to come out the back. 15 seconds, short time here. LJ and Burden. 10. Can Burden find the difference? 1-0. He's gonna start tugging on that knee. Watch the knee, the ref says. He's not gonna get it done. 1-0. LJ Attarujo gets the decision victory over his redshirt freshman counterpart.
It was scrappy, wasn't very pretty, but LJ manages to...
Here's a critical match. Carson Charla versus Christopher Minto.
This is a big match for Minto. He went to sudden victory against Patrick Kennedy of Iowa and just got gassed out right at the very end. It's going to rely heavily on both of these guys' gas tanks here.
Yes, a 2-1 TB1 loss to Patrick Kennedy. Minto is in and around the sharp sticks at the top of the 174-pound bracket, and one of those guys up there is Carson Karshla. 12-1 on the season. He's had a good season so far. He beat Minto 5-1 at national duels, and he took down number 5 Matthew Singleton 8-4 NC State duel. He's on an 8-match win streak, and he's been untouchable for the last month or so.
These are two All-Americans looking to establish what their later competition is going to look like at Big Tens and the national tournament.
Well, it's been a while since Karshla was an All-American. It was 2022. He placed 7th. Last year, he ended up losing to Lenny Pinto of the Huskers for potential All-American honors. He's a 3-time qualifier from Ohio, another native kid wrestling for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, Minto's a little far from home, from Cape Coral, Florida. He hadn't lost since Alex Facundo, but then took that tough loss to Patrick Kennedy. But he was a pleasant surprise for the Huskers last year and looks to continue that here.
The Huskers didn't really know where they were going to go post Bubba Wilson, but after Wilson got injured, kind of spelled the end of his Huskers career after Minto came in and took the ground running, placing 4th last year in All-American as a redshirt freshman with that vintage win over number 4 Barraclaw of Utah Valley. Shot attempt there from Minto. Karshla is just going to step right around it and try to work with some leverage, but they'll reset halfway through the first period. Minto, Karshla.
And this is just another Nat Duels rematch. Karshla won 5-1 against Minto last time out. Obviously going to try and get a different result here, but the Buckeyes have just made the most out of those Nat Duels rematches that we've seen.
Shot attempt from Karshla, deep on Minto. Minto knows how to scramble. Occasionally, he's pretty good at it. He'll step through. Karsla's not going to let go of that leg. And we're in an interesting position. Minto's got both legs wrapped up on the back end here, trying to sit out and get his leg free. And that'll be a stalemate call, and probably the right stalemate call. He avenged his loss against Facundo of Oklahoma State from Nat Duels in their duel here at the Bob Devaney. He's obviously hunting the same fate for Carson Karshla. Karsla's been around for a while, couple injuries he's dealt over his Ohio State career, but he's found his way here. The resilience all up and down that Buckeye lineup is something to be applauded.
And it just speaks to that culture that they've got. When we spoke to the Ohio State coaching staff, it's our stuff, our skills, our style.
They want to dictate everything. Right now, it's 0-0. Minto and Karshla with 20 seconds to go in the first period. One shot attempt from Karshla. Minto countered. Some fakes from Minto. Other than that, hasn't been much action, but I don't think either coach is going to hate that through the first period.
Again, it's just a sign of respect between two great wrestlers. You're not looking to shoot in too much. You're just feeling out your opponent in that first period.
Minto shows another shot attempt there as the clocks hit zeros, and we'll roll into the second period. It'll be Minto's choice. Manning wants him to go get his easy escape point, but it's hardly easy against a wrestler of Karsla's quality.
Karshla kind of got a similar build to Patrick Kennedy, something that Minto struggled with in terms of getting his hands wrapped around him.
Kennedy served as a straitjacket on Minto. We'll see, he's gone with the sit out here. Obviously, Lauritsen tried this in his match and got sucked back for 4 near fall, but Minto will cut away and finally step up for his point here in the second period. So 18 seconds of riding time for Karshla, as now both wrestlers will try and go to work on their feet. Deep shot attempt there from Karshla. Got to that high point there, but Minto managing to get to that crotch lift. Hooked that back leg. This is one of the Nebraska wrestlers' strong suits. It's these scramble positions. As sitting on that low single, they'll try and roll through. Minto is going to try and get leverage and come out the back. But Karshla still got that ankle. Both wrestlers wrestling from their sides. Looks like a scrap you'd see between some brothers on the couch.
I'm quite familiar with a brotherly scrap, but yeah, you just, in those positions, it's kind of following suit of the Pinto, or the, excuse me, Arujo versus Burden matchup, where it's always a leg grab. You're securing ankles. You get the 1 point off the escape, and these points are very hard to come by later in the match.
Obviously, Burden opted to go neutral instead of down. Maybe that's a little shakiness from the nerves. Obviously, Karshla is not going to have that. He'll probably go down to start the third period. So we're looking at still, as it was at National Duels, first takedown will probably dictate this match, but so far I've liked Karsla's looks a little bit better. Minto's defense has been stout, but Minto's yet to get deep in on a leg on his own.
Both these wrestlers have gotten to the positions that they want. It's all about finishing out the shot.
Minto slightly taller than Karshla, gives him a slight advantage in those points, but as you can see, Karshla is pretty stout in his own right. As that will take us to the end of the second period. Minto leads by 1, and we've got a big third period for the duel right here. Right, the Huskers trail by 7, really strong, small lineup for the Buckeyes, but the Huskers have to go win some matches that they didn't win at National Duels if they want to get back into this one.
Yeah, if you're going to kickstart a comeback, it has to start here, and Minto's going to be key for this one.
Minto looks to that ankle, but solid as you can be. The rock-colored singlet there from Karshla indicates his style on bottom. It's all one, so 1:45 to go in this third period. Minto and Karshla, they've been level throughout this entire match, giving and taking, flowing. Shot there, low single from Minto. He's gonna try and double up. Big sprawl from Karshla. I mean, what a defensive attempt there from Karshla. Now he's got the underhooks. What a move there. They'll fall out of bounds, but looked like a quick duck under from Karshla. And if he didn't get that hand caught, it could have been something there. But Minto manages to take him out of bounds.
And that's something we've seen a lot from Minto. He has no issue getting to that single leg. He just is not able to finish those shots as strongly as he was at the beginning of the season.
1 minute remaining, Minto and Karshla here. Riding time is not a factor Minto probably hoping the Devaney can get loud. Shot attempt there from Karshla. Minto's gonna go back to his defense. This is a promising position for Carson Karshla. Try and sit through that high center position. Minto's gonna roll him through and try to keep getting that position. The ref seeing what he wants to call, what he doesn't. Still only got that one leg, does Karshla. As he starts to come through, but Minto's gonna come around the other leg. He's gotta keep that leg in a good position. He's got both of them now. Still nothing yet, 10 seconds to go. And this scramble will probably take us to the end of the match. Karshla is gonna come through the back. He's got 3 seconds to go get one. Minto is gonna stay strong. It will end 1-1. So we will head to sudden victory for the second time today. The last one, the Huskers fell 6-3. Lamer to Stiles, but here we go at the Bob Devaney.
Second consecutive sudden victory match for Minto. And this is exactly what I was talking about. You gotta not empty out the gas tank as we see the brick thrown from Ohio State.
Ohio State gonna have the refs take a look at that final few positions there, scrambles there. I personally didn't see any position that looked one way or the other, but we'll take another look.
Seems as both wrestlers had ankle secured, leg secured.
A lot of pedigree on that Ohio State coaching staff you saw right there. Stieber of Ohio State, 4-time national champion. What a career he had. Here's that final positioning. Wondering what they're arguing. There's 3 seconds. Yeah, I think that was just a call just to try and see if there was anything there, but yeah.
It could also be a strategic way to get a little bit of rest before heading into sudden victory.
I think both wrestlers could benefit from that as we start sudden victory. Karshla versus Minto. Just as close as the match in national duels. That was a 5-1 win for Karshla. Minto's brought it to this point. Shot attempt from Karshla. Step through by Minto. He's gonna get deep on a shot. Oh, Karshla can just get that leg out. It's either wrestler's game. Minto deep on a shot. He's gonna chase that back ankle. Karsla's gonna step around. Both wrestlers back to hanging on to ankles. And there's the stalemate. Looked like Minto and Karshla had chances to win it there.
And just really smart wrestling from Karshla to avoid the early takedown to end this match.
The Husker team trying to get behind Minto. Same for the Buckeyes. Everyone's on their feet in this arena. 1:18 to go. Minto, Karshla, 1-1. And this is where great wrestlers operate. You've gone through the whole match. Now it's time for overtime. All you've got for 7 minutes and more. 8 minutes and counting. Minute left in sudden victory. Shot attempt from Minto. He's gonna get up, try to double off. He's gonna come around. He's just gotta step over that leg. And he'll have it, that's 3 for Christopher Minto, and the Bob Devaney erupts.
And Minto sparking the Huskers right back into this one. Dual score is now 4.
Back to 10-14, the team score. Nebraska versus Ohio State. And we move into 184 pounds.
Yeah, you got Dylan Fishback and Silas Allred. This is an NCAA's rematch just from not too long ago. Fishback actually losing to Silas Allred in consolations 4-0, but also a Nat Duels rematch where Fishback had defeated Silas 9-1.
Fishback, the transfer in from NC State. He went 16-8 in the national qualifier, like you said. He's got a good season going, 12-2. Sudden victory losses to Ferrari and McKelney of Minnesota. Also a sudden victory loss Allred had to McKelney. So level pegging here in the Devaney. Big, big match here. Minto won in sudden victory in the last match. All red, Fishback. Here we go. Start of the first period.
Another Nat Duels rematch for the Huskers. Not a great starting point for the season for them, but they've gotten themselves right back into this duel and are looking to make a statement after getting their feelings hurt with Iowa.
All red working the ties with Fishback. All red has seemed on the cusp of something the whole year. He was an All-American last year. Has some upper body action here between the two. Has got those losses by a couple points to McKelney and to Aiden Sinclair at the top of the division. This match could go either way. A minute gone, not much happening between All Red. He lost against Iowa, against Gabe Arnold, who filled in for Angelo Ferrari.
Speak about a Swiss Army knife. Gabe Arnold just filling in where he's needed and getting those wins, but All Red has put together quite a strong year so far, sitting at 11-5.
Fishback, one of two transfer qualifiers for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, Ethan Stiles was the other one. He got the overtime win over Lamer. Fishback did what he needed to do against McKelney a couple nights ago. He just fell a little bit short into overtime, with McKelney going 2-0 in that homestand. Minute 15 left. Shot attempt from Fishback. All red will swing out of it.
There's no shame in losing to the Minnesota 184. I mean, he's having himself quite a nice year, and he's always a threat at Big Tens and NCAAs.
We saw that duck under attempt from Fishback. I wonder if he'll go back to it. He got good level change off of it, but he was a little too far away from All Red to get it done. All Red's going to try and work towards the edge of the mat. Don't want to linger out there on the borderlands for too long. Big snap down from Fishback. All red matches. Locked together here. Looks like Rams on a cliff face. Fishback shot to the far single. All red's going to try and use the boundary to his advantage. The toe still in for Fishback as of now. And that'll be the end of the first period. So All Red manages to outlast Fishback's attempt there. But I like the aggressiveness of Fishback in that one.
Yeah, you definitely want him to see him finish that out, run through All Red a little stronger, and that's where you kind of fall short when you're wrestling at the edge of the mat. And that center circle is much more advantageous for you to set those kinds of shots up. If you're Ohio State's coaching staff, you're definitely wishing you had that brick right about then.
Obviously, Ohio State lost the brick when they threw it in the last match on that scramble between Minto and Karshla. All Red will start on bottom. He's not the type to get caught on bottom, but big returns from Fishback are not an uncommon occasion. Big slam from Dylan Fishback. And riding time might play a difference. He's got 20 seconds and counting. If he can hold down All Red for more than a minute, that will put him in prime position to get this done, and All Red will step out. Big re-attack. So he will not get his escape point. Did not quite disconnect enough.
No, Fishback did a great job of just sticking one hand on him and not letting go and just running right through him as soon as he repositions.
Fishback taking his time, getting back to the center. He's got 30 seconds in his belt. All Red tries to sit out. Gonna follow. Stands up here. He got to the same position a couple seconds ago, and there he cuts a little cleaner by holding both of those hands back, and he's got the advantage. 1-0. Riding time not a factor.
Silas is just a great defensive wrestler, and he's so patient. Every single shot comes at a premium with All Red.
That is his strength, but His drawback is it comes on the offensive end, often failing to score against the top opponents. We'll see if that changes here. Fishback kind of caught in Allred's trap here. A little shot fake from Allred, trying to keep Fishback on his toes, and they break. 40 seconds to go in the second period. Allred leads 1-0. A big match right here, considering there are 2 more after it. And this duel is far from over. 14-10, Ohio State leads.
The outcome of this match determines who might possibly win this thing. Nebraska favored in the rankings-wise in those last 2 weights at 197 and heavyweight.
And with the first period coming to a close, or the second period, sorry, Allred leads Fishback 1-0. You're starting to think about back into the duel where Lamer lost in sudden victory, and maybe Buzakis could have gotten that tech fall against Lauridsen. You know, you start to make these what ifs, whatever happens. But now it's all focused on 184 pounds and the third period. Manning still has his brick trying to guide Allred to a big top 5 win. And Fishback trying to defend his top 5 ranking and get another win over Allred. Will stand straight up to his feet. Allred doesn't seem too interested. He'll try a return attempt there. Just tiptoed out of it was Fishback. They're gonna go to the edge of the mat. He's gotta be careful not to give up a stall call. Big lift, and again he tiptoes out. I think Allred will be okay trying to ride here, but what he needs to make sure he does, if he chooses to do so, he needs to not linger on top when they are standing for too long, because a stall call here could end up determining the match outcome.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that last Friday, stall calls deciding matches, especially within that 157 matchup.
Yep, and neither wrestler has a stall call yet, but once you get one, increases the chances for another one. Now they step up back to their feet, and Allred's gonna try and drop down, and there's the escape for Fishback. So riding time done and dusted. There's nothing to do there. It's 1-1, Fishback versus Allred.
And this is exactly what you were talking about, Ian. Next takedown wins when you get to these situations. It's all tied up. It's 0-0 again, and nobody's got the ride time. You gotta go out and get a shot.
Both wrestlers kind of like Minto and Karshla, waiting for the right time to strike. Differently than the last match, Karshla and Minto were scrambling almost the entire time, whereas I don't think Allred and Fishback have gotten into that complicated of a fixture quite yet.
Yeah, and it's such a stark contrast to the rest of these lineups with a lot of high volume scorers. Obviously you didn't see Brandon Cannon today, but Ohio State still has plenty of guys that are high volume. They're looking to score as much as possible.
Shot from Fishback, kind of a shallow shot. Allred just follows along. 30 seconds to go, a little less than. Allred and Fishback all tied up at 1. We're looking at a potential sudden victory match in a row. Low single attempt from Fishback. Allred wasn't ready for that. Allred will have to work towards that back ankle, and he will get a big sprawl. If he can get past that arm, it would do something for him. He's got 8 seconds. Allred doesn't have it there. Fishback will come back to his feet, and we will advance to sudden victory over time.
Fishback's leg drive was just too much for Allred to secure that single leg. And again, a second consecutive sudden victory situation between these two teams.
Looks like Fishback has some sort of blood time going on here. Or injury, we'll see what's wrong. As he takes his headgear off. Looks to be potentially up in that eyebrow situation. A chance for both of these wrestlers to rest, but it's also not a good thing because both wrestlers are gonna cool down right now. Their limbs are gonna go cold a little bit. That's why you see both, well, at least at Allred's corner, they're rubbing his limbs, trying to get him to stay warm and stay active. And as you saw on that final shot attempt, Allred was a little lazy on that defense.
You just see him not quite finish out, and it's always a gas tank issue. Whenever wrestlers are not quite finishing those shots, it's usually due to a lack of energy late in those matches, and we've seen that a lot, especially that 149 matchup where it could have gone either way in sudden victory, but the Styles just outlasted Lamer.
Fishback will walk off the mat. Looks like he could be heading to concussion protocol, which is nothing you want to see for either wrestler.
No, such a highly contested duel. Not ideal either way you put it. These are competitive guys, and they always want a chance to win it on the mat.
Now, I'm not sure what the situation is. It could be that, or it could be maybe blood they couldn't stop. I'm not seeing too much blood on the face there.
So we await some of these protocols to subsist. Talk about a little bit about Allred here. Coming off that loss to Arnold, we've seen Allred kind of get to those NCAAs and make the most of the consolation bracket, but last year he topped out and got an All-American, really breaking through.
Yeah,
putting together quite the strong year.
Allred finished on the podium last year. One of many Husker wrestlers who, in the national tournament last year, really showed up to play. They had 9 qualifiers, they had 9 qualifiers and ended up with 9 All-Americans through those weights. That's not a bad turnout. 8 All-Americans, sorry. But we will step us up then just before this. Allred and Fishback, 1-1. Big dual implications on the line. Who can get the first takedown? Only seen Fishback get real deep on shots. Allred's been defending so far through the rest of the match.
Allred and Fishback coming out into this one cold. It's going to be a tough sudden victory period for the both of them.
Deep low single from Fishback. Allred trying to go to crackback, but good hand position. That hand sliding up the back. Allred, great scramble back up to his knees. He looked dead to rights there. Trying to knee slide in is Fishback. Allred is going to take this to a stalemate. I thought Fishback had him there.
And to see some disagreements from the crowd. Obviously, these two guys are such excellent defensive wrestlers, and it's so hard to come back cold after spending about 4 minutes not on the mat, and you just kind of have to run around, get yourself jogging a little bit, maybe put on a sweater if you have to.
1 minute of sudden victory left. Fishback and Allred. I think some of the crowd is wanting stalling of some sort on Fishback, but Allred hasn't done all sorts of much either. Shot there, as I talk about it, deep in from Allred at the edge of the mat. He's trying to bring that single up. He'll bring it back. Trip there from Allred, trying to get to that back leg. He won't go. Brings it back in, Allred. Fishback gets to that ankle. Not a bad defense there from Dylan Fishback. They have 28 seconds. And that is going to be called potentially dangerous on Allred's knee for Fishback. Fishback taking his time back to the center. 25 seconds, short time here, 1-1. Sudden victory, Allred and Fishback. A lot on the line. Allred and Fishback are going to tie up. Some half shot attempts here and there to see out sudden victory 1. And we'll go to the extra periods. The coin flip goes green. And he'll defer. Allred will take bottom. Now he's got 30 seconds to get onto his feet and get his point here. Fishback taking his time.
Should Allred get off his feet, get onto his feet, stand back up and get his point. He has the advantage going to the additional period beyond that, unless he can turn it into more points.
Straight out goes Allred. Now he has a chance to go get some more. Pushing Fishback towards the barrier. 2-1 now the Husker leads. Not much action from either opponent here. Allred getting chants from the home crowd as they will head to tiebreaker number 2. Now the choice goes to Fishback. He will have to go neutral as the rules dictate. Fishback needs a takedown. Deep shot off the start. Good defense from Allred. Both no stall calls for either wrestler. So Allred can do as he pleases for a little while, trying to dictate how this is going to go. Some big ties up. He's got 10 seconds, Fishback does. He needs to go get one here. Last-ditch effort from Fishback. Gets to the leg of Allred. Allred steps away. Allred will stay on the mat. Another attempt. Allred doesn't really have to care. That will be it. Thunderous applause for Silas Allred.
And that's exactly what I was talking about with Allred. One of the best defensive wrestlers in the Big Ten.
Luke Geog, the sophomore from Ohio, Upper Arlington, Ohio. He's a St. Edward's grad. St. Edward's, a program that has so much pedigree. He's got Camden McDaniel across the stripe, 13-4 on the season, coming off a Tech Fall win against the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, Camden McDaniel showed a lot of promise in that matchup against the Hawkeyes. Again, this is another one of those duels where you're looking to prove your dominance in the Big Ten, and Nebraska keeping the Buckeyes on edge here.
Camden McDaniel and Luke Geog. Camden McDaniel have not faced yet this year. McDaniel was the only Husker wrestler to take a victory in that duel at National Duels. He beat Seth Shoemate, who got the nod against Minnesota, but not getting the nod here. It's Luke Geog, number 10 in the country.
Geog, you mentioned from that pedigreed line of St. Edward's High School alums, just so many notable names coming from there. You look at the head coaching staffs of Big Ten schools and fellow wrestlers even on this lineup.
Luke Geog, last year, it was the same story. He split reps with Seth Shoemate. 2 years ago, he was an NCAA qualifier where he went 0-2 and lost to Silas Allred. Cam, obviously last year was his true freshman season for the Huskers. He ended up on the podium at Nationals as good deep shot attempt there from Geog, battled off by McDaniel. He finished 5th at Big Tens and ended up 8th in Nationals to earn All-American status.
Yeah, Allred defeated Geog twice last season at NCAAs and Big Tens.
Deep double there from Geog. Geog made big strides, as did a couple of wrestlers on this lineup. Mostly mentioned Brandon Cannon, who have made massive strides since last year. McDaniel will step out for his escape, and it'll be 3-1. The one knock on Cam McDaniel through his first year and a half at the collegiate level has been his ability to compete at the top end. He's always in and around the 10 to 12 range. You know, he lost a couple close ones here to Bates, 17 of Missouri, and Merrill twice of Oklahoma State. I think this would be a good matchup for either wrestler to kind of prove they belong in the top 10.
You know, and looking around the wrestling community, WrestleStat had some things to say about the top Big Ten 197s, and a lot of that was assumed that obviously at the top end you're seeing Penn State, but then Cam McDaniel hangs right below, and Cam McDaniel's putting together such a strong campaign. Deep
shot there from McDaniel. He's going to chase around at the edge of the mat and get his 3 back. A lightning strike from McDaniel. So now the takedown count even. Geog has 29 seconds to go get an escape to favor his campaign going into the second period.
And this is another opportunity for Cam McDaniel.
Switch attempt straight off the whistle from Geog does well, and they will count the reversal, so he does even better than the escape. He goes and gets the 1-point advantage on McDaniel.
Saw Geog employ that sit back and just turn it into 2 right away.
Sit back switch combo works when you get it right, and McDaniel able to grab his escape to even it up at 5 after an action-packed 197 first period. Luke Geog.
You're kind of wondering, where's the Mike secret stuff?
Escape McDaniel to start the second period, 6-5. Riding time, 31 seconds towards Geog. Shot from McDaniel, he's in on a leg. He'll have to get his head out one way or the other. See if he wants to drive. Good, strong sprawl from Geog. And so he will stalemate out of a strong position for McDaniel.
And you just love to see this back and forth in such a tightly contested duel. It's the number 2 team in the nation defending against the number 6 team, coming off quite the loss against the Hawkeyes on Friday. This is for more than just pride. It's for the future of your program at Big Tens.
Huskers want to build a program out here in Lincoln to rival the rest of the Big Ten. They've been pretty intent on that. A lot of social media content from Manning, trying to encourage fans and students to come out to matches. Try to become an established program like Ohio State is. A win here would be interesting in how that shakes down. But Ohio State, you gotta think, still has the advantage being the number 2 team in the country, even though Geog trails 1 point. He will get that opportunity to get it back. Shot split looking pretty even right now. McDaniel has a couple deep, I think 2 or 3. Obviously, Luke Geog had that first shot attempt that went straight to McDaniel's legs for 3. They've kind of slowed down the pace here. I think both wrestlers trying to save for the third period. Shot attempt from Geog will run right off the mat.
Again, it's those late setups at the end of the match, at the end of the periods. They want to score them all right going into that final blow, right? You're trying to set up those last 2 minutes to be your strongest.
Big, heavy ties from Geog. Will take this match to the final period, 6-5 the score. Manning offering words of encouragement. Looks McDaniel showed the sign to Manning that he wants to go neutral right away. He's still deciding. What is he gonna pick? He's gonna pick neutral. McDaniel's gonna try and go to his shot, so he's not gonna waste any time, and he's gonna go try and get a takedown.
This is what it's all about. It's 0-0 again going into this third period. You gotta think the next one to get a takedown wins.
Deep shot there from Geog. Sprawl from McDaniel. You gotta start thinking about whether that reversal for Geog is gonna come into play, and if that'll be the decider. Obviously McDaniel tied it up with that escape, but deep attempt there from Geog. Try and get to that outside low single. Won't go. Both of these wrestlers really quick for 197.
Yeah, you kind of look at the speed and strength that these guys bring. It's those heavy ties. You're clubbing on the back neck. It really eats away at you, but they snap down into their shots so quickly.
Shot fake there from Cam. 1 minute, 5 seconds to go. 6-all for Geog and McDaniel. Another tight match. This is exactly how both coaches knew it was going to be. Double attempt from Geog. McDaniel able to turn it into a front head attempt. And he will reset both the wrestlers, Geog and McDaniel. 45 seconds. The top end of this duel was going to be very close. Deep double from Geog. He's going to try and get up. Big sprawls from McDaniel. He's got him on his tiptoes, and McDaniel does well to get out of that. And a reshot for the Husker. Now in crackback. He's going to try and step over that far leg. If he can do that, it'll be 3, but nothing yet. There, an attempt. Crotch lift from Geog stabilizes. Geog's going to try and come around to that far ankle. Still nothing yet. 20 seconds. McDaniel's gonna try and come through and hook that leg. That's 3 points on the edge of the mat for Camden McDaniel to take a 3-point lead with just seconds seconds to spare.
You got 1 second. If you're Luke Geog, you're hoping for a miracle.
No stall call for either wrestler, and he's still on bottom. Now they've reset it to 5 seconds.
And what a series for Camden McDaniel.
And Geog admits defeat. McDaniel gets it done at 197 pounds to give the Huskers the dual lead from the death. They have seemed to slide on back.
And this is a totally different duel now. Nebraska
Against A.J. Ferrari for the Huskers. A rematch from National Duels.
Yeah, Feldman defeated A.J. Ferrari 5-4 at Nat Duels. He was, you know, a black shirt for the Buckeyes. That means a lot. It's not an exact science. It just comes with pedigree, with hard work and determination. And Feldman embodies that for the Buckeyes. But here comes A.J. Ferrari, potentially to ice the match for a huge win for the Huskers.
Now Feldman leads the series 1-0. He won that match 5-4. Got a go-behind takedown in the second period and leading 5-1 going into the final period. Ferrari able to grab another takedown, but he couldn't get it done. 5-4, that finished. And it all leads up to this.
And when we spoke to the coaching staff from Ohio State, they mentioned that A.J. Ferrari's re-attacks were going to be deadly. Feldman has to manage those and not give up any real estate.
And Lovett said that the Huskers were banged up at National Duels. That's why it seems so lopsided. A lot of the wrestling fans in this country seem to count out the Huskers. The Buckeyes and the Huskers are entangled here in a close duel. Ferrari and Feldman, 2:40 to go in the first period. Feldman, one of the stronger heavyweights, and he's built so well, and he's one of the few wrestlers that will get down against Ferrari and will go straight head to head, get down into his stance. I mean, Feldman is such a talented wrestler, coming off a national qualification, one match off from an All-American last year. His only losses are to Bastida, #1, and Trumbull, #2. I mean, Feldman's the real deal.
And again, speaking about that build, just look at that thick neck. When AJ tries to post up on his head, he just isn't moving. He's so steady, he's so calm and concentrated, focused on his opponent.
Ferrari missed some time with an injury earlier in the season. He missed the Oklahoma State duel. But now he has a chance to contribute to a duel for the Huskers. He's wrestled duels for the Huskers. But he gets to contribute here in a meaningful match at the end. A lot of feeling each other out, posting, working ties. Ferrari doing his signature tap, tap, fake, tap, doing a little bit of that. But Feldman as solid as they get. Ferrari choosing to do his usual showmanship. It's hard to separate that from him, but he backs it up.
Yeah, Ferrari, the former champ at 197 when he was at Oklahoma State. He's coming off a big win against Coy Hopke. Managed another win against Ben Keeter in the Huskers matchup against the Hawkeyes last Friday. Been quite the strong heavyweight campaign for the senior.
He had to bulk up a little bit. And it shows in matches like these where he's not quite built like a heavyweight. But he does enough to stay in those matches, yeah. I mean, Feldman, he's coming off a major decision of Hopke, 11-2 up in Minnesota. The same Hopke that Ferrari only won 2-1. And now that may be down to stylistic differences between the two. As this match will, I feel, always be a close one. And I don't believe this will be the last time that these two see each other, especially with Big Tens and Nationals just around the corner.
There's just no exact science to winning these kinds of matchups.
Deep shot from Ferrari. Here's that re-attacks that were so difficult. He's pushing Feldman, There's the stall call. So a stall call at the end of the first period gives advantage Ferrari. So Tom Ryans is going to have a word with the referee here.
Tom Ryan's a pedigree coach. He stands at 335, 153, and 2 all-time. 2015 national champion. He's gotten 3 Big Ten Coaches of the Years in 2015, 17, and 18.
Coached the likes of Stiber, Snyder, Jaggers, and Mendez. Obviously, the Buckeyes do not have a challenge. So there's not much Ryan could do there. Ferrari did seem to just kind of want to run him out of bounds. Do you think that was intentional?
Yeah, you're definitely trying to push your opponent to that edge of the circle. I mean, it's where AJ operates best.
Start of the second period, Feldman will start the period on bottom. A real hard guy to break down. He'll sit out. Ferrari's going to try do something there. He will continue to attack those legs and start racking up that riding time point. There's a stall call for Ferrari, as he was trying to bring Feldman back in, and now it's Manning's turn to have a word.
And these reviews in heavyweight matches are a little easier to conduct due to the speed that they usually operate at. And there's the brick.
So Manning will brick. The ref seems convicted in his stall call there on the replay. Feldman working to the outside.
It's going to be a real tough call for the referees in such a crucial matchup as well.
I get he's chasing and he's taking swipes here. He's still on bottom. This is not for points. Trying to bring him back in. I don't know, that's a tough call.
It's not the lack of movement per se, but it's the footwork.
I think he has a problem with this he just kind of sits there at the end of that sequence, kind of waiting to see if Feldman is going to tug anymore. Right.
You see Feldman kind of walk his hands forward, so it's a big toss-up.
It is upheld, so Ferrari will take the stall call. So now that advantage we just talked about with the stall call for Ferrari on Feldman is now balanced out. Both wrestlers have to be careful with how they use the rest of the match, which sets up a really interesting third period that may put it down, instead of takedowns, to stall calls. Ferrari's going to stay working on top. But eventually Feldman will squirm through, and it's 1-0 to Feldman. Now both wrestlers wary of the call that they have on them.
We're hoping to see some expert hand fighting here from the two wrestlers.
One note to make about their national duels fight: there was a lot of blood time for Feldman. He ended up busting open his nose, and so there was a lot of stoppages there. Also for Ferrari, he had a couple, he had that end of the second period where he ended up taking a sit on the edge of the mat, seemed to hit his head a little bit. So both wrestlers not maybe wrestling at their potential best there at national duels, which sets up a really interesting sequence here in this matchup. Obviously, duel on the line. 16-14, the Huskers have found their way into a lead off of 5 straight victories. Ferrari trying those shots. Now, Ferrari has to be wary of the way that he backs up sometimes with his stance. Just as Feldman with his on the edge of the mat.
Yeah, both these guys have got to be really careful with that stall. It could determine the outcome of this match, and there's no ride time playing a factor here, so this is entirely going to be in the third period.
Ferrari taking shots at Feldman, trying to give those refs something to think about. Ferrari's going to go down. He's going to try and go take his point. I don't mind that action from both wrestlers there. Feldman needs to get to this final exchange, because if you're going to use your effort on a shot, might as well do it when there's no time left. But Ferrari, a couple re-attacks in a row, trying to give the ref something to think about.
Obviously no love lost from Nato as Ferrari gets the escape.
Quick escape, he's telling Feldman he wants it. He's won for the show, Ferrari. 1 minute and 45 seconds to decide this duel. Number 2, Ohio State, number 6, Nebraska. Crowd chanting AJ.
And we've seen this in consecutive matches from the Huskers where it'll all come down to this third period. We've seen two consecutive sudden victory matches.
Deep shot there for Feldman. He's going to chase after Ferrari. They will turn out of bounds before Feldman can establish control. The refs want him to hurry this thing up. That was a close call there for both wrestlers. Feldman, like I said, conserving for that shot, and he almost had it there.
Yeah, if he had just been able to run through Ferrari about 10 inches prior to that, he probably would have finished out the shot and had 3 more points than he has.
And what a win it would be for Ohio State to come back here. The momentum is in Nebraska's favor, but the Buckeyes are the number 2 ranked in the country. We'll see. There's a minute left here. Another match going to the final minute of the third period, tied 1-1. It'd be a shame to see this decided by a stall call, so these wrestlers are going to have to go to work. Ferrari and Feldman. Feldman won the first time. We'll see how it goes this time. Both are going to level change down. I would be wary of that leaning back from Ferrari. Yep, I can see how the refs would see this, but I don't think they want to decide it on a stall call. 25 seconds left. One of these wrestlers has to go get one here. Ferrari, Feldman. Ferrari trying to pressure into Feldman. Ferrari's got to stay in this one. 10 seconds left. Feldman just tracking him towards the edge of the mat. It seems like they'll be content to take this on to another sudden victory. Same as it was for Minto and Allred. And Lamer.
What a match to do so. This has been nothing short of marvelous here today.
Yes, Ethan Stiles got the win for Ohio State in the first overtime match. Then it was 2 losses for the Buckeyes at 174 and 184. Both coaches encouraging pace here from both their wrestlers. It's going to come down to this. Ferrari shot there from Feldman. They're going to exchange a couple, but they'll eventually reset. I've liked how Feldman's adjusted since the first period. He's taken the match right back to Ferrari and not been scared of him. Shot attempt from Ferrari, attacked back by Feldman.
Feldman very obviously mindful of those re-attacks from Ferrari on every shot.
That was the game plan going into this. That's the dangerous part of Ferrari. He can chain a couple attacks together, but Feldman is just so hard to work with. You can see the ref trying to get both wrestlers to work. Now Feldman can dictate what happens. Ferrari falls to Feldman. That is 3 in sudden victory. And they are still wrestling. The call has been over. Feldman has won, 4-1. Nick Feldman takes the duel from the jaws of the Huskers, and the Buckeyes get it done.
On the verge of upset, they lose 5 straight, but Feldman comes into Lincoln and makes work of Ferrari in sudden victory to secure